Okay, it's Saturday. There are changes happening with this channel, but from now on, I will always start with business first. Stuff that I feel is really important first, and to get it out of the way. And then it will be opening up to conversation. There are rules that are being implemented with all of this. I now have a moderator, my producer, the one who's been helping me this whole time. Sherilyn is now my moderator. And so that is one of the biggest changes. But another change is that there is a group of us that are coming together that are now starting to actually work. I am pretty sure, hey Sherilyn, I am pretty sure that things are getting investigated now. And so I'm going to start gravitating towards more of the spiritual support kind of community thing. And so everything is getting to switch. Okay, so let me start with business first. I want to deal with the comments that were left in my last live. Defango and Skills, aka Kara, the free range humans person, they, first of all, the whole insults and everything that's going on would work, I guess, if I was a middle school little boy. But as it is, the insults don't really work with me. I really don't care. And I have to have respect for you to actually have insults actually have an effect on me, and I don't respect them. Defango was just like, you're no investigator. You're right. What part of I'm not Nancy Drew helped you clue into that? Because I've said that I'm not Nancy Drew all the time. However, I know that there are people who watch this stuff, especially the ones that I'm sending this stuff to, that are very good at investigations. Very good at investigations. And I know things are being investigated. I'm not connected to Jussie Cesabar, or however you want to say, whatever her last name, however you pronounce it. In fact, yesterday, it was either yesterday or this morning, the person that she's always doing interviews and stuff with came on. She's busy fucking talking about mermaids. You know? I'm not connected. I call her Lucian Greaves' wannabe girlfriend. I think that what she does is that she goes out and does these interview things, and I use that term loosely, because then people watch that shit and think that all survivors are fucking crazy. That we all are just like, it discredits survivors. And I think it's designed to do that. I've said that repeatedly. And so I'm not connected to really anybody. The group that I'm connected to, they all come in here. Sherilyn, Gov, Saki, Cognitive. These are all people that and there's several more. We're all getting ready to join forces because we're all leaders in our own right. And we're all going to start focusing on things that we feel that we need to focus on. The child trafficking stuff, that's my shtick. I've been having to get that investigated. But what I've realized is that the spiritual stuff, the stuff that is helping to help enlighten people and encourage people, people are way more interested. They're seeking out. And there's not many voices out there that actually bring that to light and actually encourage people, and in a way that is actually real, you know? So that's where the focus is going to start going off on. Skills. Kara. Free range humans, idiot. Again, save your insults. Let me point out that you came to my house for 4 days. You were a guest in my home for 4 days. You brought nothing with you. And yet you were secretly recording everything that was going on in my house. My friends, my family, you were recording it all, and you got nothing. You were heavily involved with Lucian Greaves and that Amber Volatin when you guys murdered Lori King. That's how it worked. And you guys obviously are obsessed with me because shit, you dote on everything I do and say. The fact that Defango, which is not his real name, obviously, said, well, I have Kash Patel's phone number and I'm not getting investigated and blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck are you kidding? You know, I don't understand how you think your bullshit is going to affect anything. And no, I'm not coming on Sewer Town. Not because I'm afraid of Sewer Town. I just don't see the point. Because your guys' game is you admit to nothing. So if I call you out, it'll just get deflected. And I'll have all of you guys insulting me and yelling at me. And when I can't get a word in edgewise, then you'll say you won. And I'm not interested. I don't see the point. Okay, Sherilyn, then we're going to be working on that. It's probably something that I did. What I'm thinking of is that you and I just need to get together and actually have a live to where I actually, well, hold on. Okay, see if that works. Lucian Greaves is the founder of the Satanic Temple. He's the one who's actually trafficking the kids. That he's using his Satanic Temple after school daycare bullshit. That's how they're targeting the kids. It's all about child trafficking. It's all this bullshit. Sewer Town, which Defango is connected to. How many fucking dead people are connected to Sewer Town? Statistically speaking, there's way too many to just be normal. Oh, there you go. You have a wrench, Sherilyn. And so, there's just too many to statistically be, and it's all about child trafficking. It's all about criminality as a whole. Gun running, which Johnny Depp, aka Lucian Greaves, brags about with Thomas Schoenberger. And now, anybody suggesting that I am working with Thomas Schoenberger you need to pull your head out of your fucking ass. Excuse my language, but I read the comments and I'm also exhausted. I did not realize that we had a solar eclipse today. That's the reason why I didn't sleep with the shit last night. It was the energy that's on just inundating the planet is affecting me in a way that I can't even begin to describe. And I know I'm not the only one. And so I'm really, really, really tired. And But I think that the child trafficking and all of this group is getting investigated. I'm not Nancy Drew. I'm not doing any investigations. What ends up happening is that I end up sending all the shit to people, investigators, law enforcement. It's their job to investigate. And I have a lot of people who actually have been sending stuff and posting stuff. And again, the comments are always really interesting. So, with that said, I really don't feel like talking about these child traffickers a lot today. I'm tired, and I just don't give a shit, you know? Their problem is that nobody likes them, and people seem to like me. They seem to appreciate what I'm trying to do. And so I really am going to start focusing on that. So with that said, she's been my producer. When I've talked about someone, she's been the one. The changes and adjustments to my lives, you can credit a lot to Sherilyn. She gives me a lot of guidance, a lot of, she's been helping a lot. And we don't have any resources to fight the abuse, RLS. That's just it. They keep us down. They keep us down and shut us up. But for whatever reason, I seem to have an audience. So let me talk about the changes that are going on in here. First of all, I'm going to be doing my lives Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I may throw one in, an impromptu one every once in a while in there, but I will always do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The Tuesday and Thursday shows will always be an hour or so, an hour long or so. I will always deal with the business end first. If I'm having to deal with these child traffickers and there's stuff going on and I feel like I need to bring attention to that, it will be the first thing that I deal with. So that will always be the beginning. Saturdays, I'm going to start opening up. I have 653 people who have watched the live that I just did last, Thursday? And it was over 3 hours long. And I didn't want to do a 3-hour one because I figured no one would watch it. I seem to be wrong. When it starts to be the community and everyone is contributing and we're all supporting and encouraging each other and talking about the word and what we need to do to get through these really rough times, people seem to be interested in that. And so I think that on Saturday, I'm going to start focusing on that a lot more. And Saturdays will be the time that I actually open up and allow them to be longer. And I won't put a time frame on a Saturday as long as people are contributing. These things cannot just be all about me anymore. It's exhausting. And I personally do not find myself that interested. I just don't. There are going to be rules in here. Everyone gets a chance to talk, and dominating the chat isn't going to help anymore. If someone asks you a question, obviously you can answer it. But what's happening is that there is so much extraneous crap going on in here, and I only have 4 lines. I can see 4 people's comments. And so I'm losing a lot of stuff. People are asking me questions that I'm not seeing. And I don't want that to happen anymore. And so people need to just calm down on the constant replying to everything all the time, everyone, because that's all I end up seeing. Sherilyn is my moderator. I will stand behind her 100%. If she wants to put someone in a timeout, you're in a timeout. And I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to argue with Sherilyn. I have had a personal relationship with Sherilyn for about a year now. So I know how Sherilyn is, and I trust how she thinks, and I just trust her to do a great job. That's why I asked. So she will be dealing with that. If you have a question and I didn't see, generally this channel, it has been about child trafficking. It's been about my experiences with my family being involved with child trafficking. I've dealt with Isaac Cappy's death, murder, Isaac Cappy's murder, Lori King, who was a survivor, her murder, her husband's murder. I've talked about Max Spears and how he was murdered. I've talked about the Satanic Temple and how they're focused on all of this stuff. The Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and his little friend Skills, aka Emily Thorne, aka Kara, of Free Range Humans, how they have targeted and attacked survivors to shut them up. How Lori King was murdered the same weekend of the second Ivory Garden trauma conference, and it was meant to scare people. There's been a lot of stuff that I have talked about. However, and I will still be dealing with that. I will still be dealing with that. It will always be at the very beginning. But now, things are going to start shifting and changing. Because there are some brilliant people in here with some brilliant things to say. And I think that all of us sharing, I'm tired of it being all about me. And I feel okay with what I've done, but I feel things need to evolve and they need to change. And so now it's going to start going to where, especially on Saturdays, we're just going to talk about whatever we fanciful ourselves. Gov is brilliant and has super interesting things to contribute. Saki is part of the group. She's one of the best researchers that I have met. She likes to investigate. I personally do not. I have so much going on. I just don't. Cognitive has a lot of stuff to contribute. And this group will grow and evolve as it goes on. It's just that I don't want to be. The nice thing about it is that everybody is a leader in their own right who's getting involved with all of this stuff. So we're all going to lead. Thank you, Lavinia. We're all going to start leading. So there'll be no one who is in charge of this stuff. I'm not going to be in charge of it. Right now, I'm just the conduit that's bringing all of this together. I have a lot of evidence, and there's a lot of links. And you can go, like Gov calls it Heaven Town, which is different than Sewer Town. Instead of rats, we try to be angels, and try to bring stuff. We try to better people's lives and not attack. They are always looking for me to give them links and the evidence that I have. And I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to be building any rocket ships to the moon today, tomorrow, or anytime soon, you know? But it's not like I'm an idiot. And my blog has a lot of info. davidshurter.com. It's just my name, davidshurter.com. You can go see a lot of stuff there. And I'm getting ready to revamp that and add a bunch of stuff to it. If you guys have ideas of stuff that you would like us to address, Sherilyn, if you would put that email address, a lot of stuff is going to go through Sherilyn. She is my producer. She's going to help. And right now there's a core group of us that have been working together, and we're going to start coming up with ideas of where to go from here. Because I don't want to, like I said, I'm tired of it being all about me. I'm tired of, I feel like I repeat myself. So it's dshurtermod@gmail.com. So it's dshurtermod@gmail.com. And if you have things that you would like addressed, or you have questions that you would like me to answer, and, it's pretty open. And we're just beginning. Eventually, we're going to start having merchandise, because I would love to have like t-shirts that says "Fill your heart with love," and scripture stuff on that. We're going to start switching. This is all at the developmental stage, but it's reached a point to where now I can actually introduce it, because there are people that are on board. And like I said, Saki is an amazing researcher. She can find out just about anything. Gov is one of the most fascinating people I've ever talked to, and has a ton of ideas. Not to, and so I want to start bringing this. This is going to start coming down to where we're going to start talking about the word. It's not going to be a religious station by any means. It's not going to be a religious station by any means. However, we are focused on heaven. We're focused on the word. We are going to be focused on helping people rise up and be strong within themselves, and compassion, love, on heaven. We're going to be focused on that. For years, this has been all about child trafficking. I wrote a book, Rabbit Hole, Satanic Ritual Abuse Survivor Story. I got nominated for Book of the Year when I published it in 2012. I have a blog. The videos that I have on here, I think that it'll even open up to where we'll start doing interviews with people and giving people a voice, helping people have a voice, and interviews on just whatever we feel like we want to do. It's going to evolve. It's going to grow. Saturdays are going to be longer days, because Saturdays, maybe not this Saturday because I'm exhausted. In fact, if I had my choice, I wouldn't even be doing a lot, because I'd be asleep taking a nap. But Saturdays will be the day where I'm just going to open it up, and we'll be on here for as long as we want. Because the community, people start getting drawn into the community. And that's the reason why the chat has to be moderated. Because I want people to be exchanging ideas and compassion and support. I want you guys to support each other as well. That's what I'm really looking for, is that it focuses, and so we start to actually help each other grow and evolve. And I really think that the whole child trafficking stuff is being investigated. I know that stuff in town is being investigated. That whole Erling, Iowa gas station explosion, which was nothing more than a domestic terrorism. It was just domestic terrorism. They put a bomb in a gas station to try and get at me, and but that's illegal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's no longer illegal anymore. Maybe you can put bombs and shit and blow it up and it's all okay. But from my understanding, the idiot that I am, and oh my God, all you have to do is go ask Skills and Defango and Gio Farnsworth and Daniel Dowd and all of those people, they'll tell you what an idiot I am. But then I'm not out murdering people and then bragging about it like they do, have done. And I've shown that repeatedly, over and over and over. And yes, I'm very aware that they know how to game the system. They threaten lawsuits. Remember that I can only see 3 or 4 comments at a time. You know? Churches are just, you know, and hey, Smokey, we're in bad days. We're in the day of judgment. We're in bad days. And so I think that it's a time where we actually we have love. And people, especially in here, have the compassion and the empathy in their hearts. We have enough so we can share it, you know? And isn't that the whole key? That's the difference. That's the biggest difference between my channel and Sewer Town. They're full of fucking hate. All they do is say hateful, nasty shit. And I'm not interested in that. And wanting them to be investigated for their criminality, which they've all been involved with for a long time, is not the same thing. I feel that they need to be investigated so that children can be safe. And I'm not going to run away afraid of them. All of their threats, all of their bullshit, all of their games that they just parade out. They act with impunity. You know, they think they can't be touched. And I think that we're in different days. And Defango is just like Thomas. Thomas is, oh, well, I know Cash Patel. You know, okay, whatever, you know. Thank you, Sherilyn. I was watching. I just wanted to see that it worked. I'm excited to not be in this alone anymore. That's when I was told to start talking about Isaac Cappy and open up comments on my channel, it was the last thing I wanted to do at the time. It was the last thing I wanted to do. And no, he was just being an idiot, Lavinia. I am so against people hurting other people's cars. When people bought, Elon Musk did not out himself as the monster he is until January. And a lot of people who could afford Teslas and bought Teslas were doing so because they thought they were doing something good for the environment. And so going out and doing a lot of nasty shit to people, first of all, it doesn't hurt Elon Musk at all. And second of all, it's wrong. You know, that stuff is wrong. And evil begets evil. You do evil shit to others, that shit's gonna. It might take a minute, but it's gonna take it back. And I just am against going after people. Right. Blowing up people's cars, it's just ruining families. You know, you're just hurting individuals who have nothing to do with anything. And it's wrong on so many levels. I can't stand Elon Musk, don't get me wrong. But going after someone who just happened to buy a car, put yourself in their position. You know, put yourself in their position. If some stranger came up and fucked your car up, how would it affect you? How would it affect you? It probably would not be a very pleasant experience, I would assume. And so why is it okay to do it to do it to others? You know? It's not. It's wrong. You know? Now, if you want to go protest or you know, go out and join a group that's actually going to stand up and actually try to do something, I agree, Lavinia, I'm against terrorism on every single level. Going out and fucking people's cars up, fucking their houses up, all of that, you're hurting individuals who have as much power as you do. And so it's just wrong. You're just hurting individuals, you know, that have nothing to do with anything. And if that's what makes you feel powerful, you need to take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror, you know, because it's wrong. And the sad part about it is that the people that are out doing it know it's wrong. You know, they know it's wrong. I'm being targeted, but I'm not afraid and haven't been afraid for a long time. You know, be not afraid, for I am with you. Our faith requires us to actually stand tall and be strong. And that's hard. Trust me, it's hard. It's something I have to work with all the time, you know? And faith over fear. Exactly, Sherilyn. Yeah, I know that, Lavinia. You said you were being targeted. I can read, you know? I think that there's a lot of people who are being targeted. You know, I think that there's a lot of people who are being targeted. It's like they're on steroids now. But I think the reason why it's gotten so bad, and it has gotten bad, but it's funny because a lot of the gang stalkers, some of my worst ones are moving this weekend. And I can't say that I'm going to cry any tears over it. And so I'm glad. I'm tired of it. Right. It's shocking what people think their fear is somehow loving. If we're just trying to protect you. So on your fucking car up because you bought it. You know? We need to stop having an us or them mentality with just the people around us. Because the people who are the problem, I assure you, you don't see them at the grocery store. You don't see them at your restaurants. They don't live the same life we live, you know? And I know that because my family was like that when I was growing up. You can't afford the country clubs that they go to and all of their stuff that they do. You're not invited. You'll never see them. So going and hurting someone just because they're available doesn't do anything other than make you a monster. That's how it works, you know? Elon isn't so much an alien, he's reptilian. And my ball python has more compassion than Elon Musk has, you know? But we need to stop hurting each other. And you can justify the evil shit that you do to people any way you want, but it's still evil shit and you're still going to be held accountable. That's what's going to happen. You're still going to be held accountable. And I would like it if we as a society stop justifying our evil, you know? Well, if they didn't do this or if they didn't do that, judge not lest thee be judged by the same judgment you hand down. That's how it works. And I would really like us to get to a point where we had a little bit of compassion. The people now who drive Teslas, you should feel sorry for them because they're probably not happy with their car and they're probably still paying on it and will for a long time. You know? Never imitate what you despise. That's very good, Lavinia. You know? See, the whole thing about it, Smokey, because he says when I was in a bad life back in the day, I only blame myself. When you blame everyone else for your shit, you end up making yourself powerless. Because if it's everyone else's fault, how can you possibly change and make your life better? Because it's everyone else's fault. You have power over them. And so therefore, when you do that, you make yourself powerless. It's much better to think, what am I doing? What can I change about myself to make things better? That way you have power. Personal responsibility empowers us. When you feel a sense of power, of personal responsibility, it empowers you. That's the problem that I have with Sewer Town. They're so busy pointing fingers at everyone else. They never once take the time to actually look at themselves. But it doesn't make any difference. It's just my personal opinion, but I think most of them. I don't want to get into this, oh, you're stupid, but I have to admit, my experience with them, some of them, I've met a box of rocks that are smarter than some of them. Geo Farnsworth and Daniel Dowd coming into Harlan and bragging about murdering my friend Owen just doesn't seem like the most sensible thing, you know? That's just me. It just didn't seem like the most sensible thing. Sorry, my sinuses are just, my nose is so itchy. They dance around, and I guess if I was a middle school kid, their insults would bother me, but I just don't give a shit, you know? It's stupid, you know? And again, I may not be building any rocket ships to the moon anytime soon. And maybe this is just me, but I do think that I have some critical reasoning skills. You know, I like to think, and I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed all the time, but I'm not the dullest, you know? But what difference does it make, you know? They're just upset because I'm not going to stop until everything gets investigated. And DeFango, who doesn't like Thomas, is using Thomas's argument. Well, I have Kash Patel's phone number. You know? Okay. Okay. Okay, Sherilyn. Lavinia, you need to, because Sherilyn she's the sheriff in them parts, or I don't watch Westerns, so I don't know how it goes. But, oh, now my ear is itchy. I have the window open, though, and it's allergy season, and it's raining here. I have to say, Gov, that your argument with Geo Farnsworth on X made me laugh out loud, and I don't laugh a lot. I'm not someone who, I'm a pretty serious person a lot of times. And that's cool, Smokey. When we're young, we do stupid shit. Fuck, I'm old and can do still stupid shit. But I'm boring. I'm boring and dull, and I'm not a criminal. I couldn't handle the stress of being a criminal. If I had to worry about the cops busting in my house every second, I'd be one of those people who ended up walking around town nude, muttering to myself. I agree, Sherilyn. It takes a strong person, Smokey, to change your life and take responsibility for your own shit. Because that's the only way that we can change anything, is when we take responsibility for our own shit and work accordingly. Okay, well, I don't understand that. But even if you were 17 5 years ago, it still makes you an adult. You don't want to tell me you're a kid in here. I maybe later on when it starts to become about the word and I can stop talking about all this child trafficking, but otherwise with kids, I feel that, oh, he's 40. Like I said, I am not always the sharpest tool in the shed. I saw that he said 40, but hey, N2. And I'm also exhausted. Gov says, what am I missing? Heaven will always tell you. Especially when you're I am wrong and willing to change what needs to be changed. Exactly. Oh, okay, Smokey. Oh, that had to have been rough too. We're supposed to counsel to people who are imprisoned, who are in jail. That's the reason why I don't make... When I argue about Sewertown being a bunch of criminals, it's not so much that I'm focusing on, oh, they're criminals, but they're proud of being criminals. They're proud of doing the shit that they do, and the shit that they do ends up hurting people. And so I'm against that. But we're supposed to, give comfort and counsel to the downtrodden and those people who actually we're supposed to try and help the sinners, because we all sin in our own way, It's nice that you guys are in here. I'm exhausted, so I seem kind of out of it, but I'm just exhausted. I didn't sleep well last night. I had been watching a video on YouTube and ended up falling asleep. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, YouTube was playing a video and they were quoting Revelations. And so it was kind of you know, kind of a thing. I actually was just like, okay, heaven is telling me that we're at the end, which I kind of believe anyway. And I am just getting over being sick. I am. And my sinuses are still, but that doesn't have anything to do with being sick. The older I'm getting more allergies, more seasonal allergies. And so, and the solar eclipse was just, I didn't realize it was today. So, okay, Gov, I need your help. Our conversation, the 5 things that you know are real. Because I need something to talk about. Let me pray, but then I want you to start talking about stuff. I want you to bring up the 5 things that you know, because that was a really extremely cool list. And I kind of want to share it with people. And if you don't mind. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I'd appreciate it if you did, just because I think that people would appreciate and benefit from hearing it. The 5 rules of the universe. So I'm going to pray and give Gov a chance to actually do stuff. Oh my God. The fact that you were stabbed 30 times and you're still here means you're one of the chosen. And I say that because we all seem to be put in situations that would kill anybody else. And yet here we still are. And that's heaven telling you that you have a mission, that you're here for a purpose. And it's always good to listen to those, you know? And so a lot of us who are, and when I say chosen, I don't mean, oh, we're, you know, the next best thing of Jesus Christ. It's just that heaven has a purpose for us. That's what I mean when I say that we're chosen, you know? And I think that a lot of people who are chosen find themselves, I'm not saying that it's all about me. That is not, and I'm not trying to feed, you know, oh, I'm so wonderful or anything. I just am a conduit, but I think that heaven is drawing a bunch of us together, especially on this station. And it hasn't happened for a long, hey, Michael, it didn't happen for years, but it's starting to happen now. In the last year especially, it seems to be drawing a group of us that are very strong leaders in our own right. And we're all being, you know, so I'm going to pray quick. Heaven, we come to you grateful. I am grateful. Today has been just, there are people who, you're just joining us all together. And the fact that I don't feel alone, especially after everything that went down with Owen, has just been remarkable. And I can't thank you enough for the people that come in here. I'm just grateful. And I'm grateful that you had me open up comments. And I seem to have a direction now that I didn't. I've been just wandering in the dark for so many years, you know, trying to do the right thing, but having no idea or clue of where I was headed. And even though I can't see the destination, at least I have an idea that it's there. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that I've reached a point where that is happening. You sent your son, our brother, Jesus Christ, to teach us about the word. And when we start focusing on the word, at least in my experience, synchronicity starts to become very prevalent. Things that used to be looked at as coincidental, I don't see as coincidental anymore. I start to know that you have a hand in everything and you're drawing us all together. And I can't tell you how grateful I am. This group that is going to keep growing and changing and evolving to something better so that we are better able to glorify your name is just, to be a part of it means everything to me. You know, I'm so grateful. I, I, I'm just grateful. I'll probably pray again in this live. I don't know how long it'll go, but I just wanted to say how grateful I am. And the fact that we're able to glorify the word and glorify your name in the way that it seems to be working is just, thank you so much. You're actually taking my focus on the child killers and replacing it with something so much nicer and so much more empowering. And I guess all I can keep saying is I'm grateful. I have gratitude. I think we all do. We're so grateful that you sent your son, our brother, down to teach us the word, to live a life that we're able to emulate. And we say these things with great love, great sincerity, and with gratitude. Amen. Thank you, Into. I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's, but especially the last while, I can't tell you guys how grateful I am for all of you. You know, I just cannot tell you how much gratitude that I have for you guys. And it means a lot to me when you guys, after the lives, say that you feel empowered and you feel, you know, better and things are, you know, because I try to live a life that I try to lead by example. And when you do things that, and then people tell you that you made their lives just a little bit better for having you in there that day, it gets addictive. You just want to do it more and more and more, you know? And I love the fact that people seem empowered. Thank you, Into. We're all grateful for each other. I'm just grateful for you guys, you know? Lift each other up. That's exactly it, Sherilyn. We need to lift each other up and empower. And that's what this channel is going to end up becoming. Because, and it's going to grow. There's a core group right now. I have reached out to a core group to actually get them, you know, and I feel really, I don't even know the word that I'm looking for. I'm hopeful. Boy, that's a word I don't usually use because sometimes hope is really hard to come by sometimes. And there's so much easy. It's so much easier. So many things conspire to kill hope. But I really do think that we're starting to shift. Okay, Gov is putting The five rules of reality. Number one, I exist. Existence is primary. Death is only a transition. You exist. You're alive. You have consciousness. You know, you're able to see, hey, Sharon, oh, okay. Well, that's cool. It's funny because Sherilyn and I got, it wasn't really an argument. It was just Sherilyn was the one who told me, I think Sharon is a guy. And I was just like, oh, I didn't realize that. But I can be, it's me, Smokey. Now, Smokey, that's a guy's name. Sharon is not usually a name that you would associate with a guy, but that things are changing anyway. And we can all balance each other out in our time of need. Yeah, into that's the reason why I think that it's best to have Sherilyn as my moderator because I can be kind of gruff. Okay, the second rule, there's only here and now. There's no out there, over there, there's no future or past. We're all now. The power of now. I don't like to quote Eckhart Tolle, but he has a book, The Power of Now. You know, yelled to me, not at me. Yeah. You know, and it is true into when I care, I have a little bit more to my when I yell. There's a more to it. That's when like Sewertown, Geo, Farnsworth, and Daniel Dowd, and Skills, and all of their fake ass names, Defango, you know, I they don't usually get me emotionally. They get me irritated, but there's not because I just don't care, and so into your I'm probably divulging too much, but I will tell you, you're one of Sherilyn's favorite posters in here. And mine too. There's a whole slew of you guys in here that I really do appreciate. You know, and I do appreciate you guys. You have a lot of interesting, cool aspects, and you guys are all leaders. That's what I like about this group that's forming, is that we're all leaders in our own right. So nobody is in charge. It's just we're all trying to help each other. Okay, Gov, this is the number 3 thing for reality. The all is the one, and the one is the all. Everything is God. Gov and I talked about it, and I told him, in every face I see the face of God. That's what it's like. Unity consciousness. We're all part of a whole. And so it's when you start to realize that we're all part of a whole, first of all, it's almost impossible to feel alone when you start to become aware of the unity consciousness. Because but there's also, it's very difficult to be in an us or them. You know, can't have an ego experience without being unified. And the ego really causes a lot of issues. Because when you are focused on the ego and it's all about you, when it's all about you, it's hard to have other people and we all balance each other out. Lavinia, that's a good thing. We're uniquely the same. I like that, Lavinia. That's a good way of saying it. You can't experience others without unity, because there would be no way to interface with others. That's We're all a reflection of each other, you know? And when you see that, it starts to, when you start to see how the similarities, which is funny because I'm funny into. That's why I gave Sherilyn. That's why Sherilyn is the moderator, because I end up getting irritated and will block people, and sometimes I block people, and I'm wrong. Good example, Gov. I got misconceptions of Gov and blocked him. And I'm very grateful that he didn't just allow that to happen. And he actually fought back. He didn't really fight back. He cared. And so, oh, Smokey, I don't see any reason why I should block you. A lot, it's just easier for me to be in here and have Sherilyn as the moderator so that I don't have to worry about it. And Sherilyn and I have had enough of a relationship she's in so many ways more level-headed than I am. And I guess it would be sexist, but I want to say, in a way, it's probably because she's a woman, and that does sound sexist. How do you say that without it sounding sexist? But I have the utmost respect for women. Number 4 from Gov. What we put out there is what we get back. Exactly. They are you. Energy always returns. Oh, energy always returns. And the thing about it is that energy, when you live a life, the shit that you do, you send that energy out. But energy always comes back. So what it does is it arcs over your head. And then as it's coming back to you and it's going down that curve, it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And so it slams into your back when it returns, which is great. And it is bigger than karma. It's way bigger than karma. It's almost karma and dharma combined. It's and running away from darkness. We spoke about that yesterday, Gov. Running away from darkness, denying your darkness only gives it power. When you think that you're escaping it, but you're not. You're feeding it when you're running from your darkness. That's the reason why if you're in a dream and something is chasing you, the best thing to do in a dream, if something's chasing you, is turn around and embrace it. Let it take you over and embrace it in the dream. Because it's only when we know our darkness that we can control our darkness. Otherwise, it takes over and you spend so much time running away. Face your fears. Your thoughts are not you. And a lot of times when you're afraid, that's what I just learned recently. Because that's why Father gave me a head cold. Because I was so afraid. I was waking up just scared all the time. But when you are so afraid of stuff, the shit part about it is you draw it to yourself. Whatever you're feeding, you draw to you. So if you're so terrified of your fears, you end up feeding those fears and manifesting. Self-fulfilling prophecy is a real thing. You're so afraid of something that probably will never happen, but you're so afraid of it that you manifest it yourself, and that's why you have to be open and conscious. See, I'm realizing that opening up this and actually talking with you guys is such a better way to do these lives. I don't have to come up with all of the stuff. I feel like I'm cheating because you guys are helping me, holding my hand, and I so appreciate that. Number 5, everything else changes but the first 4 rules. The first 4 rules don't change, but everything else changes. Even change. There is a time and season for everything, just as it was written in scripture. You know, there is a time to sow, and there is a time to reap, and there is a time to laugh and a time to cry. And all of those times change. And going with the flow, my nose is just driving me crazy, guys. Sorry. People don't have to hear the words to feel the energy that words create. Correct. You know? Yes, thank you, Gov, for sharing those with me. Again, dshurtermod@gmail.com. If there are things that you would like us to address, or things that you don't understand, and that includes the child trafficking and the stuff in my past, send it to that email, because that way we can actually. The 10 Commandments are rules of ego, to use those principles in a positive way. Yep, exactly. And it's physics. What Gov just did, the 5 rules of reality, for those of you who are scientifically minded, those are just rules of physics and quantum physics. That's how it is, you know? I actually love quantum physics. It's one of my favorite subjects. Can't do the math worth a shit because I'm not good at math. But the concepts, I love concepts. But I think in pictures. That's one of the reasons why I was, Fiona and I have talked about it in the past. The Those of us that were involved in the whole MK Ultra bullshit, we were involved in that because we think in pictures. I think in pictures. PBS Space Time. It'll blow you away. I love PBS. dshurtermod@gmail.com if you have questions. And the group is going to grow. We're already growing. Of course, we would love to hear anything. See, this will probably be, I hate to do this, but do you guys mind? I'm going to go down and make myself another cup of tea real quick because my tea is getting cold. But I think that there's enough going on in the chat that you guys can actually entertain yourselves for a minute while I again, because it's not about me. And eventually these lives will end up, I'll start incorporating so that people there'll be more of us on here so it won't just be me. I don't want it to be all about me. Contrary to Kara, the free-range humans idiot, I have no interest in being a cult leader. I would rather be around a bunch of people who told me that I was full of shit and then argued a different perspective, because that's how you learn. I think that a cult leader would be the most boring, sad existence. Leave out all expectations. I would definitely have a cup of tea with you, Smokey. Actually, what I've been talking about to people is I would end up loving to have people actually contribute. It would end up costing everybody money because we'd have to rent the place. But I would love to do like a weekend retreat sometime and bring us all together and have a weekend retreat where we ended up eating and talking and sharing energy and all of that. And I just think that it would just be incredible to bring everyone together and what would derive from that. Yeah, Smokey, I'm broke too. I'm having a hard time eating right now. And but I know everyone's broke. And I don't want to be someone who asks for money every time I come on here. You know? So I'll do without. I'll do without. I'm okay with that, you know? Is it enjoyable? No. Would I love to win the lottery? Yes. But I just also feel that asking for donations every single time just puts a burden on people, or they feel. I don't want people to feel like they're not contributing because they don't have any money, because I don't have shit. I don't have any money. And so that's horrible. I'm not going to get into that because it'll bring up way too much shit, because that stuff actually, they, you don't understand. That's part of what this stuff is, you know. Black market organ stuff, you know. It does change your life. I'm gonna go get another tea. And so it'll just take me a minute. So if you guys can just give me, right, trying to get an extra dollar is like trying to find a needle in a pit full of needles. That's exactly it, you know. The whole thing about it is that when I ask for donations, a lot of times I don't get any donations, and I'm not bitching at anybody. No one. I'm not bitching at all. But it's like I talked to Sherilyn. If I'm asking for donations and nothing comes in, and yet I know you guys appreciate what's going on, it means you guys don't have any money. And so I'm not putting an undue burden on people thinking, oh, you know, I just, I, you know, I'm stressed as shit about money. And, but I will say that not having money to eat does make you lose weight. And so I know, Into. I know. I'm just tired today. And I just have to be really careful of, I don't want my mind to go to places that I don't want it to go to. Nobody has any money. That's the reason why it's, people don't have any money. And so we're all stressed. We're all in the same boat. And that's the reason why I'm not gonna, you know, anybody who wants to donate, that listens to this, it's just my Venmo and my PayPal are D Shurter. And it would go for a great cause. But, well, I think it would go for a great cause. I'd go straight to the grocery store and buy some food. However, I also realize that people are broke, and I'm okay, you know? So give me a second. I'm just going to run down and get another coffee or another tea. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I had to heat the water up. Okay, let me see. The only thing that I have to say about what you just said, Eddie, is vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You know, it isn't our place. I understand the desire. Trust me, I do. And I agree of money is just one form of wealth. When it comes down to it for me, I am rich in so many ways. I really do have love. And I have respect. And that's even harder. That's the issue that I think these sewer town idiots, I think that's the one thing that they have against me the most, is because no one respects them. And fear, people might be afraid of Thomas Schoenberger, but they don't respect him. He doesn't have respect. And that's the thing about it is that I have, people respect me and they like me. Not everyone, obviously not everyone, you know, but I was the only one of my dad's kids he respected, and that said a lot, you know. Lavinia, that's exactly it. Leave it to God. He deals with everything according to his time and place. And I so trust God more than I trust, you know. And Smokey, do you want me to call you Sharon or Smokey? I know Sharon is your mom's account. But I'm not afraid of what man can throw at me, no matter what. Smokey, okay. I just think that people who are feared are rarely ever respected. You know, when you live your life by making people afraid of you, you have a lot of people who are looking to take you out when they get the chance. Whereas respect, if people respect you, they actually respect you. They're not, you know, it's a completely different. I'd much rather be respected than feared. But respect is something you have to earn, and you have to continuously earn it. It's not something that just happens, and it takes a lot of work, but it's worth it, I think, you know. My dad did see the light. My dad told me at one point in time that he always knew where he stood with me. And he respected that. And I appreciated that because my dad didn't respect anybody. You know, we were talking about my sister Cindy, and I loved my sister Cindy. Don't get me wrong. She was the closest of my siblings. I adored my sister Cindy, but she spent most of her life living in a fantasy world. All of my siblings do. They live their lives in a fantasy world. And we were talking about my sister Cindy in the living room, and I told my dad I didn't play the same games that Cindy played. And my dad told me, that's one thing I've always appreciated about you, which was, of course, the hair on the back of my neck went up because my dad and my mom both were really experts at backhanded compliments. And so I looked at my dad and said, "What is that, Dad? What have you appreciated about me?" And he told me, "Good or bad, I've always known where I stood with you." And it's true. I mean, with me, for better or worse, what you see is what you get. And I avoid people who give me creepy vibes. And fear is healthy. Fear actually gives you, I wouldn't, fear is what keeps a lot of people safe, I was born into evil, and I did choose God. And Smokey, fuck those pedos. I just hope that I never find myself in a situation where I walk in and catch someone hurting a child. Because I'm not sure I would handle it well. I'm just not sure I would handle it well. In fact, I know I wouldn't handle it well. And I would probably end up landing in jail. Because I would probably trip out. I would trip out. And it wouldn't go well for the person. Because I would trip out. That's what Gov was saying in his 5 things of reality, When you run from your evil and you do everything you can to avoid your dark, it feeds it. It gives it more power over you. And so you have to face it. Turn around in your dream and face the nightmare, whatever's chasing you. And that works in the real world as well. Not just dreaming. That's the way it should work in the real world too. Smokey, I find that most people who have been put in bad situations, who grew up with evil, I will say as a survivor, having worked heavily in the survivor community, the only people that have, in my experience, the only people who have successfully broken away from what we went through, broke away because of Jesus Christ. They found faith, and they found the word, and it saved them. It gives us a new direction. That's what saved me. That's what saved me. Because otherwise, the anger and the hatred takes over. And it's hard to keep that away from that. The anger and the hate, no matter how justified, starts to overwhelm a person and take over. And it's only learning and of Jesus Christ and finding out about the word that actually gave me a pathway. And I've seen that when you have survivors who are all new age bullshit, Jesse Sesbar, however the fuck is a perfect example. All of that new age bullshit, which very much resembles the Luciferian bullshit that we grew up with as kids. That's the reason why it's a slippery slope. It's not a slippery slope. It's just the best way to end up in the fucking dark. But the word, Jesus Christ, and Michael, we do not have to be on the front lines to make a huge difference. Some of us cannot be on the front lines. When you have kids or you have commitments, you're not able to be on the front lines, and it doesn't make your contribution any less. You know, it doesn't make your contributions any less at all. And it's not. I've gone to survivor groups, and then they have me. We all start talking about our abuse, and then people will look at me and go, "Well, my abuse wasn't as bad as yours, because my abuse was it was pretty extreme." Okay, Gov, we'll still be here. This is a Saturday, so I'm going to go for as long until people get bored, or my voice gives out, or my phone gives out. I'm 46%, so when it comes to trauma, it is not a competition. Your trauma might be different than my trauma. My trauma is extreme for a lot of people, but that does not make your trauma any less. If it is traumatic for you, it is trauma, and it matters. And it's not a competition. It's not, oh, well, my trauma isn't as much bad as yours, and so my trauma doesn't exist. It doesn't work that way. You know, if you have trauma, it is your trauma, and it matters. And we need to stop comparing ourselves to each other. The only thing that I find with me is that when I talk about my trauma and the extreme trauma that I went through, I would hope that it gives people hope. Because if I can overcome my trauma, and I only did so because of Jesus Christ and the teachings of the Word, and being and having an awareness of the Word, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. You know, anybody can do it. But it's not my trauma. Although it is extreme, did not negate any of your guys' trauma. And your trauma matters. No matter what, your trauma matters. And so it matters. And too many people want to, I'm sorry that I but my nose is just driving me crazy. It's just so bad. Trauma is trauma, and it all matters. And having compassion and you know, okay, well, the only caveat that I will put on this is that if your trauma is trauma because you didn't get your way and somebody did not give you your way, you need to learn to discern. You know, but you know what I'm saying? That there is a line there that, you know, but trauma matters. Power of joy in the Holy Spirit of Christ. That's what it's the Holy Spirit. And that's what Jesus Christ taught about all the time. It was the Holy Spirit. You don't negate the Holy Spirit. Don't diss on the Holy Spirit. You know? Okay, Smokey, what you just said is trauma. That's trauma. That's flat out trauma. You know? What you just said is trauma. Anybody who would go through that, especially as a 6-year-old to 19-year-old, that's trauma. And again, if you see it, you know, What I'm saying is, okay, you were a kid and you wanted an Xbox and you didn't get an Xbox for Christmas. I don't necessarily think that that's trauma, you know? It, but you know what I'm saying? That but being exposed to things that no kid should be around, you know, having your parents be involved with drug dealing, let alone getting you involved with drug dealing, that is a spoiled brat. That's just it, you know? Well, Smokey, the reason why you see it as life is because that was your life. And it's hard to actually, for the longest time, despite the trauma that I went through, I thought that was life and everyone's life was like mine. You know? I thought everyone's life was like mine, or kind of the same way. And I've been watching this stuff. That's the reason why I use this, The Chosen, because I watch a lot of this Christian based stuff and they talk about chosen. And they say that those of us who God has chosen, we go through some severe shit in our childhood. We go through some severe shit. A lot of us end up alone. And it's all done for a reason. And it is easy to think that we're cursed and God hates us and all of that. But I really like what these Christian stations are saying, because what they're saying is heaven is preparing us because we're warriors. And so heaven, even as children, puts us in some extreme shit because it tests us and makes us strong. When you're going through tests, you're not proving shit to God because God already knows. But when we go through our tests and we succeed in our tests, you're proving to yourself your strength and your worth. That's what ends up happening. Our tests are not for God. Our tests are for ourselves. So when we get put into serious shit and we're able to make it through the way we're supposed to make it through, what ends up happening is that we learn about ourselves. And especially when you're a kid and you've been put through all of that shit, it's, you know, God doesn't test us because he wants us to prove ourselves to father or mother. Heaven is trying to show us what we are capable of, what we are capable of surviving, and what we're capable of doing. Because a lot of times when we fail, it's because we tell ourselves that we are failures. And heaven wants to show us, hey, you're not a failure. I'm going to put you through this serious bunch of shit and see if you can make it through. Oh, wow, you made it through. Look at who you are. Look at what you are capable of, you know? And a lot of the stuff that we go through, we couldn't have made it through had it not been that God is standing right beside us. Father or mother or both are standing right beside us, encouraging us. You know, we have dumbed down our capabilities. I can tell, Smokey, that you've gone through some serious shit. I can tell that you've gone through some serious shit. But the fact that you're still here and actually able to focus on love and have compassion says more about you than you probably even realize. Certainly more than you probably admit. You know, because especially as survivors, we're the first ones who will tell ourselves what pieces of shit we are. You know, I am the first person, when it comes down to it, I'm always telling myself what a piece of shit loser I am, how I could have done more. Or if I would have not been so stupid and did things differently, I could have accomplished this, that, or the other thing. And that's a common thing for survivors, is that we just, who needs enemies when we have the person in the mirror telling us what a loser we are? You know? They used to electrocute me all the time in my MK Ultra. That was their thing. That was their punishment. They would, we were all supposed to catch and grow food and not get it from a store. I would starve to death. I'm not much of a hunter and gatherer, unfortunately. But, and that's why I want this channel to grow and change. Because I want us to remind each other what we're capable of. And the fact that we've been able to accomplish what we have, despite the shit that we've gone through, you know? It is just a fact. It's not a... I can grow food. I mean, I love to grow food, but if I had to go out and hunt something, I couldn't shoot anything. And Michael, that's exactly it. It's funny because how many of us remember the good shit that we're told? How many of us remember? But the nasty shit that we were told as kids from our parents or our classmates or whatever, that shit just never goes away and can run in, it can just it can just go and go and go and go and go. And you can run that like a loop in your head. How many of us remember, when we were 6 years old in kindergarten, what the nasty shit that Tommy said to us or whatever? Boy, you can remember that. It's the negative stuff that we have no problems remembering. But the stuff that actually makes us, that it empowers us and all of that, is we don't remember any of that. And that's the reason why I want this station to evolve and grow, because it is time for all of us to support each other and actually remind each other of our worth. Because right now, they're all trying to convince every single one of us what a piece of shit, how we don't matter, how we just ask for too much and shouldn't expect as much and blah, 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 blah. Smokey, I understand. Drug dealing and addiction is difficult for an adult to deal with, let alone a kid. And Michael, it's true. We've learned this helplessness. That's the reason why I say when you blame everybody else for all the shit in your life, that's what you're doing. You're making yourself helpless. Because if everyone else has the power, how are you going to change? Because it's all their fault. They're the ones who have the power. You don't have the power to actually, the conversation's going really well, but in my phone, I only get a bit of it. That's just, the parents that hold their kids responsible, but also empower their kids are my favorite kind of parents. You know, they, we're responsible for our actions, but if you don't like who you are, then change. You know, and sometimes that, yes, I understand that's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. In fact, it's the only way, you know. Yeah, but Smokey, you blaming yourself for being a 6 year old. If you were a normal 6 year old, you wouldn't be drug dealing. You know, what your story sounds like is that you were meant to grow up way faster, but you were a child. At 6 years old, when we are kids, oftentimes some parents suck. And I can say that because my parents sucked. You know, there are some people who have no business having kids. And it's just when you become an adult and you're responsible, you can't keep blaming mommy and daddy when you're 40 years old. Because yes, there is a correlation and all of that, but you can't. But there are parents out there that suck. You know, I wasn't drug dealing, I was just being trafficked, you know, and my parents didn't need shit. They were wealthy, you know, and yet they were selling my siblings, they were selling me for sex, you know. Some people shouldn't be parents. There's no juvenile delinquents, only parental delinquents. That's true to a point. But I also know that there are parents. I really can't talk about it. I'm talking about shit that I shouldn't be talking about because I don't have kids. I'm just talking about my own experience of my own parents, but I've never been a parent. I've never had to raise a child. And so really, this conversation, I'm talking out my ass. I mean, not to be so blunt, but I'm talking out my ass because I have my own opinions, but they're not based on experience. They're just based on opinions. And you know what they say, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one and they usually stink. And so that's just, there are kids who are completely out of control. Parents who abuse their children came from a toxic childhood. I will say that was very true of my parents. The reason why I was able to forgive both my mother and my father is because it's one point I remembered that my parents were kids. And then I started to look at their childhood and realized I was holding my dad and mom responsible for not having the strength that I had. Because I was pretty formidable even as a kid. I had a strength of character. But I couldn't judge my parents who didn't have that. My dad, yeah, he was psychotic, but my grandmother, Shurter, was a bitch. She was my grandmother, so it didn't have the same effect on me as it would have been if she had been my mom. And my dad was her least favorite. And my mom was adopted. And even though I did not know her parents, from what I've heard, she was being abused. And so trauma is not who you are. Your trauma shapes you. It does not define you. You know? And that's just it. It shapes you, but it should not define you. You're so much more. What defines you is what you do after the trauma. That's what defines you, is what you do after the trauma. And I can say that having gone through my own extreme trauma, you know, my sheriff department is independent from government. They just do whatever they want. There has to be expecting law enforcement to govern themselves is just, oh no, VD. This is on Saturdays the conversation is just open. You know? People can bring whatever they want to the table. That's what I want to start doing with Saturdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are more focused. And then on Saturday, like I said, at the very beginning, if I have stuff that I have to deal with, I'm going to deal with that stuff. That'll be the first thing. But then after I've dealt with it, I'm going to just open it up. And whatever, I'm just letting the spirit guide us. You know, whatever comes up, to a degree, you know, there are certain things that, you know, I don't want to go down inappropriate things, but talking about what you're talking about, there's nothing inappropriate about that. And I think it needs discussion. That's what we're losing in America. Is that we're losing the ability to dialogue. We're losing the ability to actually be able to bring ideas to the table that might be conflicting and still be able to discuss them in a rational, sensible manner. And even if we have to just agree to disagree, we still need to be able to get that dialogue, that ability for dialogue back. We need that as a society. This whole tribalism bullshit is getting nobody anywhere. And groupthink is unhealthy. Okay, I'm missing some of the conversation because I'm going on my own little rant. And I agree with that, Smokey. You have a choice. You have a choice. You know, and you are responsible for those choices. So if you want to be a fucking evil dickhead, okay, but you're responsible for those choices. And don't blame anybody else. Because when you're doing evil shit, you know you're doing evil shit. Don't blame anybody else. Actually have the balls to actually be responsible for it. That's what the problem I have with the whole sewer town and all of that, is that they're not responsible for they blame everybody else. You know? Hey, Cognitive, I saw that you texted and had gotten that. And you reap what you sow. The energy that you put out there comes back to you. And that's blah, because they don't want to be investigated. Well, if you have nothing to be afraid of, you know, but Defengo better use his number and call Cash Patel. Ask Cash Patel to save him. Because I know that people are looking into all of that stuff. And it's not me. I'm sorry, I'm not Nancy Drew. You know, do I look like Nancy Drew? I I'm not investigating anything. I just want it to be investigated. I almost called Cog. I when I do these things, so since you're new, I'm just going to go through what I said because you're one of the people that I definitely want to know I want you to know what's going on. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm going to do definitely Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. There may be times that I add one or two more lives in with that, depending on what's going on. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to stick to the whole hour, an hour long thing. I'm going to stick to the hour long because I like those hour longs. On Saturday, however, I am going to open it up. I'm going to deal with what I need to deal with at the beginning, the business end, but then I'm going to open it up so that people can just change, so that we can actually get to a point where we become a community and can talk about stuff. Sherilyn is my moderator now. She was the one who's been helping me produce this, but Sherilyn is the one that I'm having help moderate that. And so she's, doing a remarkable job. And okay. It's been nice. It's been wonderful to see you. Into it was wonderful. Saturday, though, like I said, I'm going to open it up. And we're going to we'll go as long as we go. Till my battery gives out. I'm just, I'm going to just open it up. Well, hopefully I'll see you on Tuesday. And we're going to grow as a community. The community, I think that the whole child trafficking stuff is being investigated. If not by law enforcement, by the media. And I just think it's being looked at. I think people are actually digging into it now. I know that things around here are shifting and changing. Stuff is happening here. And so, because things are changing here, so I want to start getting to a point where we come together as a community and start helping each other and supporting each other in the word and encouraging each other to live a life worth emulating, and I think that requires all of us to work together. Cog, you're someone that I actually will be calling because you're one that I want in the core group. Gov is part of the core group. Saki is our researcher. She just is amazing as far as the research. And the group will grow. It's just right now, I can't have it grow too fast. I want it to evolve naturally. But because of your background, and I know that you're one hell of an investigator as well, I really want to focus on, Smokey, that's true. I've seen true evil too, and it's not good for anybody. And the people that are living their life evil, they're not happy. Thomas Schoenberger can say whatever the fuck he wants. Geo Farnsworth can say whatever the fuck he wants. Daniel Dowd, all of them. They can all say what they want. But in the end, they're not happy and they don't have respect. People don't respect them. Tufango, people don't respect them. Oh my God, the things that I hear about, the things that people leave about him in the comments, they're despised. Oh, VD, and you guys have that super volcano that is having all kinds of issues in Italy. You know, stay safe. Stay safe. And it's hard to do because I forget the name of it, but it is definitely a lot and awake. You know? We're at the end. We're in judgment. And there are people who have chosen evil. And they're proud of it. They're totally unrepentant anyway. And they dance around like monkeys in heat, thinking that it makes them powerful and strong. Exactly what was written at the end. They're lovers of themselves. And they like their evil. But it's gonna fuck them in the end. You can't tell them that because these dumbasses are always the smartest ones in the room. Even though, like I've said, I've met boxes of rocks that are smarter than they are. And there's nothing you can do, you know? There's nothing you can do to actually convince them that they're... You can't convince a fool that they're a fool. It just doesn't work. And they're fools. And they think that their evil shit makes them strong and powerful and crafty and so much better than everyone else. But I think we lost cognitive. Because we all have lives. And I can end this, you know. They won't change. They won't change. They're incapable of it. They don't want to change. You know, they don't want to evolve, they don't want to grow. They're quite content of being the dumbasses that they are. And there's nothing you can do with that other than just shake your head and move along. And we also can't save them, you know? If they're looking for redemption, there's only one person to go to for that. Jesus Christ. None of us have the ability. And for redeem. Yeah, well, when you're 9 years old, Smokey, and you're starving and you're living in shithole conditions, and I would assume that you were living in a slum. I mean, that's not a judgment call. It's just from what you said. Your parents were less than stellar. And you're an adult now and not leading that life. You know, hey, Gov. I don't feel sorry for them, Granny. I can't. Because they'll take your pity and slit your throat the first chance they get. And then laugh at you at how stupid you were for feeling sorry for them. That's how it works. And no, you know, I'm not. The thing that I will have to deal with after I take my last breath is that I know that we're supposed to give 70 times 7. But there are certain things that people do in this life. Trafficking and murdering kids. I don't have the forgiveness in my heart for that. I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could say that I do. But honestly, when it comes to that, my heart is pretty much stone. I don't feel sorry for these idiots. They've murdered my friends. They've murdered my family. They've done everything they can to hurt people. And they're proud of it. They dance around and brag about the stupid shit. And I just don't. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I won't do anything to him. Call him out. That's what I'll do. But anything else, to be quite honest, in my experience, it's so much more gratifying watching God deal with them. Because God, when God ends up dealing with them, the results are freaking spectacular. You know, when it finally comes down to actually dealing with them, the results are so much more spectacular than anything we could muster. And so it's much more gratifying to allow God to deal with it and not have to feel like we have to deal with it ourselves, you know? Especially with guys, Smokey, we end up dead or in jail. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And it's so much better to let God deal with it. You know, it's so much better. And it's probably bad, and it probably makes me less of a person, but I can't say that there's not gratification when I watch him, when God brings him down. You know, I can't say that there's not a huge amount of satisfaction in it. I feel, and that probably is terrible, you know, it's part of my personality that but when God smites these child killers, perfect example, when that 13-year-old boy slit Anton Scalia's throat, I ended up celebrating that night. That's really terrible to say, but I ended up celebrating. I was so pleased. I was beyond pleased. And I was grateful. I thanked God over and over and over that I have, you know, that dude was the meanest fucking pedophile, and I know he liked little boys from personal experience. And so I was happy when it happened. And that is it's terrible to admit. I know it sounds terrible. You know, probably makes me, I probably suck as a person for saying that. But it doesn't make it any less true. You know, it doesn't make it any less true. And it was funny because I had the dream. I had ended up waking up in a dream. I was standing in front of a friend of mine's husband who was a pedophile and abusing her kids. And there was like this blue beam coming out of me, and I could see that it was hurting him. And in the dream, I increased that and picked him up about 4 feet off of the ground. And he was writhing in pain. And all of a sudden, I saw his feet catch on fire. And when I saw his feet catch on fire, for some reason, I looked down to realize that my own feet were on fire. And it was the moment I realized that my own feet were on fire, that in the dream, I was spun around 180 degrees, and I was standing in front of Father. And Father told me, this is for you to do what you want to do. This is what's going to happen. And without even a moment of hesitation, what I said to Father is, if it saves the kids, so be it. And I turned around to finish, and I woke up from the dream. And you know that next morning is when Anton Scalia got his throat slit. at that weird ass ranch down in Texas. And the only reason why I know that a 13-year-old boy slit his throat is because there was an investigative reporter by the name of Dave Valentine. And he was down there. He was not down there because of Anton Scalia. He was trying to get onto that ranch. He was trying to investigate that ranch. And that was when he said, and you're not fishing for sympathy. I agree with Sherilyn, Smokey. And I am definitely glad you're here. I'm definitely glad you're here. And more than that, I'm really glad that you're sharing your story. You know, I am so glad that because you're another example of someone who has gone through shit, who took responsibility for their lives and changed things around. Because of Jesus Christ, the word saved you. You know, we learned from each other's stories. We learn from each other's life experiences. And that's what we're supposed to do, is learn from each other's life experiences. What you're doing is giving your testimony. You are testifying how God has worked in your life to change you and help you grow. And when people see your story, they're going to see your story and realize, well, if he can do that, then I can do it. You know? Okay. Stuff in there. Send me whatever links you need to, Gov, on that, and I'll add them. And that's just it. If we talk about stuff that when we're in here talking about stuff, like I've told Gov, send the links. And so when you send the links afterwards, I'll go back into the description and put the links of stuff that we've talked about so that people can actually go look for themselves and see for themselves what we're talking about, so that there's links. Because a lot of people, Gov isn't talking out his ass. He has all kinds of, he can show you where the information is. And RDP-96 from the CIA. We'll discuss that in another live though, yeah, Gov, because I don't think I'm going to have enough battery for that discussion, but we'll definitely get into it. So, and that's the other thing from now on. If we start talking about stuff and we're talking about things that you're interested in, realize that I will put the links, because people are talking about stuff and then sending me links. And at the end, when I get done, I'll go back into the description and put the links as I get them in there. And you like and comment on the videos. So if there is something else that you want to know more about or anything like that, Sherilyn, if you can put that, it's Shurter mod, which is mod@gmail.com. Send that to that email address. Ephesians 5:10, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. We should expose it. It's the only chance, and that's just it, Michael. It's the only chance to make it end. Keeping it quiet, running away from it, turning away. Evil thrives when good men do nothing. And in here, not only do we have a lot of good people in here, but what brings us together is you all seem to have the same fire under your ass that I do. You know? You don't want to sit back and let the evil thrive anymore. We want to stand up and expose it. And I couldn't be more proud to be associated with the group of people who feel compelled to actually do something. You know, things have changed. For the longest time, even when Isaac was out and about, people were just afraid. They didn't want to take a stand. But I think those days are quickly coming to an end. We're sick of the shit. We're sick of the evil shit. I know I'm sick of the evil shit. You know, cognitive, no worries, no worries. And VD, you're more than welcome. You know, trust me, there's women in here too. Saki is one of the most. She's a great investigator. She's, I'm just going to continue. This might end up being another 3 hour. Well, probably not because I only have 17% on my battery. But I might be able to make it till 3. Do you know that the last live I did ended up being about 3 hours. And I didn't want to do these 3 hour ones because I thought no one would listen to them. No one's going to sit by. Do you know that the last time I looked, it had 653 views. People actually like these better than the ones I was doing. Like and share, please. Like and share and comment. Comments actually mean a lot to me because it is nice if you have questions that you want to contribute, things that you want to bring to the table, things that you want to talk about at the next live, because it gives me an idea of what to focus on. I'm so glad that I am not doing these lives now and just repeating the same shit that I have been talking about for years. It's refreshing to me to have these kind of lives because it's just, I feel it's more beneficial. I think it's more beneficial. My hair is kind of crazy today and the light keeps hitting it. So to me in this video, it looks like my head is lopsided and I'm not attractive at the best of times. So love from Ireland. That's the one place that I would love to go to. Actually, I would love to just be in Ireland for a year or more. Ireland just pulls on my heart. My mom was Irish, so that's probably what it is, but Sherilyn, I agree. Today has been great. The Saturdays, like I said, Saturdays I'm just opening it up to where we can all talk and just bring up whatever we have in our mind and encourage, Smokey, the fact that he actually shared so much of his story. That was amazing, and the fact that we're living the word right here, supporting each other and actually just Saki's still here. Feral Granny is a good name. Cognitive, I agree. My puppies are old, and I'm going to end up probably, knock on wood, it won't be for a while, but obviously, and when that happens, it'll be like I have lost my family. And I've never really traveled, and Ireland would be someplace that I like today. It's a rainy, cloudy day. It's my favorite kind of weather. Kind of chilly, Smokey the Clown is my YouTube channel. And that's DACLOWN. And I think supporting each other. Gov, why don't you put your YouTube channel in there? So I can announce it. Smokey, if you can actually put your YouTube, the link to your YouTube, and then send it to that Shurter mod at gmail.com. That would help, because I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description. I think that actually supporting each other and helping each other's channels grow, I think that's another thing too. That's encouraging each other and success. I These evil fuckheads like in Sewer Town can actually do all of this bullshit. So fuck it. If they can do it, then I'm gonna do it too. I'm gonna encourage people to go, Gov stuff is amazing. Gov is just a fascinating dude all the way around. But there's a lot of us out here that are, yeah, Saki, I don't have much respect for him. I'm quaking in my shoes because DeFango is gonna call Cash Patel. You know, look at his profile picture. Is that someone you think actually has Cash Patel's phone number? You know, I'm glad I wear boots. I'm glad I wear boots. DeFango is an op. It's not his name either. They all have these fake ass accounts and they all assume that they're like Legion because they have so many different accounts that they're everyone, everywhere. It's not that they have it's not that they have multiple personalities, it's that they don't have any personality. They lack a personality. Saki is here. This has been fun. I will say that I'm kind of glad that my battery is wearing down because these long, I'm not used to talking so long. But the fact that you guys actually, shorts are fun, smoky, If you get more people, then it just encourages you to do more stuff. And share. I know you can share other people's videos on your own station, I think. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not... When it comes to technology, I am definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. But these long ones, actually, I'm not used to talking. I mean, it seems like I'm a big-ass talker, but... I spend a lot of time not talking at all because there's no one around. It's just me and the dogs. I mean, I talk to the dogs, but a lot of people like shorts, Sherilyn, I think when you sign up for a YouTube account, Cognitive, you get a channel. It just comes with it. When you start having videos show up out of nowhere, that's when I would be worried. VD described to Gov's channel. Thank you, Jesus. This is probably not the live that I will get into, but I will talk about Fred Trump being at Hummel Park. And you can go to the blog. I talk about it on my blog. And there are other videos that I have. It's just I have so many videos on this YouTube channel that it's hard to figure out. Fred Trump was a Nazi. Colonel Aquino, Michael Aquino, was a Nazi. They were all Nazis. Anton Scalia was at Hummel Park all the time. He was a Nazi. And no, there is a search function. It's on the right, and you have to go down a bit. But there is a search bar that you can type in stuff. There is a search on the blog. Well, we'll see, Smokey, if we can't get you 50 followers. You know, and cognitive shares. It's not a surprise that we're going through the bullshit that we're going through. Okay, it's 2:27. I will not make it 3 hours because I just got a thing saying I only have 10% battery left. And so, and you can hear my voice is starting to go out. And again, all of you who want your channels, type in your name and then your channel. So Sherilyn knows your name, so she can identify the name and all of that. And I will be adding all of this stuff to the description. Probably not right away because I have to charge my phone, obviously. But if you can send all of that stuff to Sherilyn, because she's the one who's going to end up dealing with that email. And but we're all working together. Gov, send your channel. You know, you can also send it to David at davidshurter.com. I'm kind of just realized that when I get emails, I'm not a big email person because I do everything on my phone. I don't have info on the recent popes involved with abuse. Boys Town was heavily involved. The Catholic Church has been heavily involved with all of this. Of the stuff that was going on in Omaha, Boys Town was big time. Father Flanagan is nowhere near the hero that they made him out to be. And the Catholic Church was just heavily involved with all of it. But as you ask those questions, Saki and Gov, I bet, can find stuff because they're brilliant researchers. DeFango can say whatever he wants. You're right. I'm not Nancy Drew. I'm not an investigator. I don't even claim to be an investigator, DeFango. But I know people who are brilliant at it. You know? So dancing around, thinking that no one can figure your shit out, go ahead. Go ahead. But you better not fart because your head is so far up your ass, it might explode. Just saying. You know? Just saying. Dickhead. And skills, I've never once danced on a pole in my fucking life. I wouldn't even know how to pole dance. So that little insult that you left on the comment of my last video, I never danced on a pole. You know? Their insults are just sad, you know? And the sad part about it is that they say all these dumbass insults and then you know that they're getting off their computer and like pumping up their chest like fucking peacock. Oh, I did something, you know? Yeah, you did something all right. I just... Not sure what you thought you were going to accomplish. And sweetie, remember, you and I met. You were in my house for 4 days. Nobody has ever paid to see you strip. Never. You know? The paramilitary, that's... You guys have... Italy is really... D. Shurter mod. Sherilyn, can you just put that in there so that people can see it again? There you go. Gov. It kind of puts a lot of work on Sherilyn because then she's the one who actually is my producer who helps me figure out what I need to address in my next live. And so that wrench looks good on you. It does, doesn't it? You know? Defengo is outed. He thinks that he is all that and all full of threats. Oh, I'm not being investigated. I have Cash Patel's phone number. And you guys can go read. I just suggest you go read the comments from the last live. They're just. I just don't know what to do with that. I'm being back-end. Hold on, I'll come down in a minute. I'm being back-end. So I really should get off here. So I'm going to pray. Because we're at the end. I'm going to be out of here with battery. I hate to do this because it's been so much fun today. This has been a lot of fun. And, Sherilyn, I'm probably going to plug in my phone, but I'm probably going to give you a call if that's okay. Just because I want to know how well I just want to know that it went okay on your side. But let me pray, you know. Yes, I can do a video about the Algona, Washington police. Ryan Miller, who was all involved helping fucking Mesner. I could do all that stuff. I tell you what, Tracy, send an email to that dshurtermod@gmail.com because then we can actually get to where I can deal with stuff and talk about the stuff. If you guys have questions or things that you want me to talk about, send that stuff to that email address. And we will figure out exactly what I need to do. I tell you what, Tracy, the Algona, Washington one, how about I do that on Tuesday? I'll plan on doing a full an hour talking about what I went through in Algona, Washington, especially with Ryan Miller, you know, because the dude was Ryan Miller was as bad as Neil Gross is here, you know, Shelby County, Iowa Sheriff Neil Gross. Ryan Miller was corrupt, just fucking corrupt. And it was just, they send it so that we know, so, because otherwise I'll forget it. If I don't write stuff down. And like I said, Sherilyn is not only my moderator, but she's helping as my producer. And so we're getting together. There's a group of us that are all getting together that will be doing research and stuff like that. All of this stuff is going to change. It's going to evolve into so much more than what it's been. Because it won't just be me anymore. I'm coming. I'm sorry. Let me pray quick. Heaven, we come to you as your children. I can't tell you how much I appreciate today. These, where we're all able to get together and share ideas and talk about things that each one of us, you know, I thank you so much for directing Smokey in here, who gave his life story, because a lot of the things that he was talking about, he ended up, I'm sure, inspiring other people to realize that you can go through serious shit in your childhood and still come out on the other side, living a life glorifying the word, which is what he did. He found your son, our brother Jesus Christ, and it was able to change his life around. And those stories inspire all of us. It helps each one of us glorify the word and glorify your name. And I am just I really do think that all of this is starting to evolve in a way that it will be beneficial for all of us, and that we will all be able to evolve and grow in a way that will make you proud. And I am just grateful beyond words to be able to be a part of that. I am simply right now a catalyst. I'm not the one doing it. But I appreciate you allowing me to have a place at the table to be able to bring this together. And the fact that you're bringing us all together and we're all starting to come together as a community. Because let each one of us leave this chat and then go out and inspire someone else in the real world to be better than what they are today. And none of this is possible without you. With you, through you, all things are possible. And with your son, Jesus Christ, all things are possible. And we love you. And we're grateful. Some of us giving me kisses are more grateful than others. They'll be very grateful when I get off here. But thank you for today. It's been wonderful. And thank you for Sherilyn's help and for all the contributors and everyone who has contributed and made this such an enjoyable live. And I say these things lovingly and gratefully in your son's name, our brother, Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, guys. As you can see, I am being harassed. They want to go outside. So it is time for me to let them go outside. We will be back and I say we because it won't just be me anymore, on Tuesday. Tuesday, I'll address what happened in Washington, and I'll go to Washington. I'll address what happened with Ryan Miller. I'll address what happened with that protection order that was all involved with Lucian Greaves and all of that. And I'll address the weapons that I got hit with when they made me lose 100 pounds in 2 months. And then after I got rid of those weird ass rocks that what I understand is called smart dust, this weird metallic mold on top of the surfaces of them, how my weight stopped. I stopped losing weight and gained it all back. I'll talk about all of that on Tuesday. We'll go, I'll just discuss it all. And if there are things that you guys want me to reiterate or talk about, because I've been at this for so long that I do not know what people want to know and what people already know. Tracy says the email doesn't work. Sherilyn, she says that the email doesn't work. If it doesn't work and you have a problem, david@davidshurter.com. So it's just my first name at davidshurter.com. If it's not working, Sherilyn will check it, so that will be the email to go to. But right now, just send me the stuff at david@davidshurter.com if you can't get it to work. And Cognitive, I need to speak to you as well about something. But Sherilyn, I will be calling you after this. I need to plug in my phone and let my dogs out, and then I'll probably give you a call. You guys, thank you. This is growing and evolving in a way that is so amazing. I'm very excited because I do not feel like I am in this alone. And I like the fact it says address not found. We will change that. So right now, just send everything to david@davidshurter.com. So Smokey, send me your thing for your YouTube. Gov, send me your thing for your YouTube just so I have it. That way I don't have to go look back through stuff. And we will get that email taken care of. We will, be back. Sherilyn and I will both be back for sure on Tuesday. She is my moderator from now on. And so thank you, everyone. And it has been great. No, she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. I feel like a teacher, actually. But David at davidshurter.com right now. If you have questions, stuff that you want, just send it to me. And I will end up on Tuesday, like I said, I'll deal with what happened in Algona, Washington. I haven't talked about that in a long time anyway. So I'll talk about the Ivory Garden Conference. I'll just go through and talk about the whole 3 years that I was there and what was going on. I know, Smokey. Smokey, you were a blessing, You were a blessing. Thank you for sharing your story. And you guys are great. This is starting to evolve in something that I think that will be beneficial for a lot of people. And I am grateful because all things are possible with God, but the fact that this couldn't be possible without all of you as well. And so I just really am very, very, very thank you. Teacher wants to see you after school. Michael, you're being naughty, Where's my ruler? All right. Bye, guys.